This is your spoiler warning. If you don't want Resident Evil Extinction from 2007 spoiled, stop watching or listening now. Hello and welcome to Badaptation, where we watch and talk about every theatrically released video game adaptation, their sequels, tie-ins, and whatever else we fancy. I'm your host Finn, and I'm joined as always by my film buff co-host Guy Pigden.
Hello.
This week we're limping back into the most successful zombie video game adaptation franchise, the third installment for Resident Evil Extinction. First thoughts?
Well, we all zombied out at this point. We've seen quite a few zombie things.
I thought I was.
Yep.
But, you know, this has kind of brought me back on board of the potential of zombie movies.
This had a different take.
It did. However, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis on this take. Alice, she's back. In this post-apocalyptic picture, the plot plunges into the protagonist's path where she picks up a plethora of past and present pals. I'm going to stop doing that as a bit now, because that would be exhausting. This plot mirrors earlier ones in the series and seems to have found its reliable formula. Alice and friends are hunted by both Umbrella Corporation and zombies. Her friends get overwhelmed by zombies while she slowly increases her superpowers and goes on to escape the zombies, fight the giant zombie villain created by the Umbrella Corporation at the end, and finally get her revenge. Or does she? Sequel tease.
Well, yeah, you really hit the nail on the head there.
Thanks, I wrote that on my phone in my car.
They definitely did establish this formula in the last one,
yes.
And they definitely did repeat it exactly.
I feel like they refined it a little bit. It was the pacing was really good in this, like it really trucked forward.
It did truck forward, but I did make a note that said that essentially trying to develop the plot and make this suspenseful makes things very slow and boring for the first half.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, it is also a very barren movie, not like just in the setting itself. That always kind of does it for me, where I'm like, well, the plot, there's not a lot of plot when you've just got people who aren't very well developed in a giant desert where there's nothing.
There's also not a lot of zombies in this.
Well, they're not scattered throughout. Like, there's a big horde of them. But you don't kind of see them very often. Like,
You kind of, they essentially bump into them like really once at the end is the big time that there's a few smatterings of zombie, but you know, it's nothing.
Yeah.
That last time is the only time that they actually fight zombies in the zombie film.
Yeah. They seem to fight crows more than zombies in this.
Yeah. The crow scene. Thoughts on the crow scene?
I kind of liked it. I think it was one of the better scenes in the movie. Like the CGI may have been a bit janky, but the worst part of it is really the acting of the actors, funnily enough. Like, not all of them, but a lot of them, it just seemed to not really sell the horror and the terror of that, because that would be like genuinely a scary scenario, just being surrounded by zombie crows that will do anything to try and pick your eyes out and just devour you.
Yeah, obviously it was a bit of an homage to The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, with sort of a very similar kind of setup and vibe, how they all kind of there and you're just waiting for them to attack.
Yeah.
And I thought it wasn't too bad until they actually started attacking. When they started attacking, that's when they kind of started, things didn't look so great.
I think the moment that the kind of suspense gets taken out is when they start, like there's just a surrounding of thousands of crows.
Yeah.
In reality, there were only two crows crows that they actually used for reference, and the rest is quite clearly CGI when you're watching the movie. But yeah, I'd say still quite impressive for 2007.
Yeah.
It's fast moving, it's going. But when they start shooting at them, like there's thousands of crows and they are like lining them up when they're taking their shots to, like, I'm going to shoot that one and I'm going to shoot that one. It's like, what are you doing? Just fucking head down and sprint to where you're going. That's what they do. Like, they'll turn around and they'll stop what they're doing and be like, pew, 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 and then keep going. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be rooting for you. You're being an idiot.
Well, I think that's a failure probably by the director.
Yes.
To really sort of be like, hey, the crows are everywhere, so you can just shoot anywhere.
Yeah.
You also don't want to pause because they're kind of coming at you at all times.
Yeah.
It is weird though, because there's kind of this cloud of crows over the top of them, and then these people running underneath them, and no crows running at them except for specific times when the plot dictates it.
Yeah. Well, that character's running, we need to go bam, 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 crow, crow, crow.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's like 2,000 crows
Crow's
above them
just
just
not
circling.
doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here for intimidation. I don't feel like attacking today.
Well, yeah, you do have to give them credit in the sense that it is harkening back to actual Resident Evil, where crows are a thing and are a problem and can attack you and hurt you.
Yep.
But also, it isn't zombies, and it's like, look, by the time we got to this one, really, we're scraping the bottom of what else can we do with zombies?
But then they treat them like zombies, where, we'll try to shoot them while we run away before we get overwhelmed. Isn't that the approach to zombies?
Yeah.
So, and they are zombified crows. Well, I like that in this world they've got, zombie dogs, zombie crows.
Yeah.
Cool, that's making it different. Instead of like some zombie franchises, you'll just see, there's just, herd of cows.
Well, the weird part was that, they're basically like the crows aren't attacking and they're sitting in their fortified, cars and vans and buses and stuff. And everyone's like, just stay there and don't do anything. And then inevitably they decide that instead they'll do the opposite of that.
Yeah.
They'll open up, they'll walk outside, they'll start shooting. And I was like, I'm not sure that these crows are going to get in if they just did their first plan.
Well, at one point they start cracking through. Once they start cracking through those windows, I'm like, okay, these were always a threat.
Okay.
They didn't really put themselves in this position. A little girl accidentally knocks over a Pepsi can or something.
Yeah.
There was a small, not cameo, but little bit part in this movie that I really enjoyed just personally.
Yeah.
And that's seeing Johnny Cage.
What?
The cowboy.
The cowboy.
The cowboy. He's played by the same actor
who played Johnny Cage
in
Mortal Kombat.
In Mortal Kombat in 1990.
Which we have not seen yet.
We haven't seen for the podcast.
Yeah.
But I've seen it multiple,
of course, we've seen it.
multiple times. But he's worked with Paul W.S. Anderson on Mortal Kombat.
Right.
So he directed that and he wrote this.
Yeah.
Still yet to, pick up the reins once again as director. There are also animated movies.
I know.
We could veto those?
Well, we can't.
When we could.
They're movies.
Yeah, I guess. Were they theatrically released? Yes, unfortunately.
Well, definitely some of them were.
In Japan.
Yeah.
And I could tell this was written by Paul W.S. Anderson because 10 minutes in, you've got a strong female protagonist who can really kick ass. And how do we show her character growth? Someone tries to sexually assault her.
Yep.
That's such a... Why? You can tell when a strong female character is written by a guy. It's like, wow, how do we show that she's strong? Let's have her not be assaulted. But people try.
Yeah.
But she fights them off.
Yeah.
Or if you want them to grow into a sad character, don't fight them off.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, look, this, to be honest, actually, the opening of this, I was sort of on board with, in the sense that there was a couple of things that one, I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh, you mean with that little...
The world's a wasteland desert. That wasn't the case in the last one.
No.
And
so, as you pointed out last time, this is post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
The last one was...
It was pre-apocalyptic.
Well, it was Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Yeah, right.
So this
was it called Apocalypse?
Yeah.
I thought it was called Nemesis.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you really got hung up on him, unfortunately. Big fan.
Okay, so, yeah, and so they're in this new world, but she goes to help. She's hearing a help signal, and she goes to help, and it turns out these people are luring people in with this help signal.
Yes.
But now, from a logic perspective, I actually kind of like that. Sure. I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. I thought she was literally going to go in and help some people, and they were all going to die.
Yeah, she's heroic.
But she was going to try and help them.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Or they'd all be dead, right?
To me, it's like, well, this seems like a video game side quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total side quest.
Yeah.
And anyway, but, by the logic of these people, they actually would be luring other wasteland wanderers to kill them most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. However, they've got the numbers, right? That's what
they do have the
on.
numbers.
They're banking on people not being in groups.
Yeah, I guess so. But if I was another group and I heard that, straight in there.
Their motivations to me seemed like, if you've played any of the Batman Arkham games, any of the dialogue you hear from them, if I get that Batman, I'm going to punch him real good. He don't know what he got coming.
Yep.
hey, I'm going to take this girl and I'm going to do things to her. Hey, let us rob you. Yeah, let's rob you.
Yeah.
You know, just like the woman there that lures them in.
Yes.
And they're all just like cackling little like,
Yes.
I thought it's so cartoonish.
Well, it was also a bit weird because it's like, okay, you've lured this girl in. Now, either you want to sexually assault her like you did in the beginning.
It's a given.
Or you want to chop her up and eat her.
Yeah, or just take her stuff and kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead, they throw her to the dogs, which is a waste of a food source out in the wasteland.
Yeah.
Because if the dogs eat her, then she's infected. They can't, you know.
Yeah.
So, but of course, then you got the dog scene.
Yeah, you get the heroic, I'm going to kill a bunch of dogs scene.
Well,
That's in most movies.
I mean,
they're zombified. It's different.
the zombie dogs.
Yeah, zombie dogs.
Well, surely this was your favorite part of the film. I know we're skipping ahead, but we're going to mention that.
Yeah.
Calling you out right now.
Not only does she run up a wall and do a backflip, another little favorite of mine, but she does a kip up.
Yeah.
So that's going to affect the score later on.
But not just any old kip up. And unassisted by hands because her hands are tied behind her back kip up.
That's impressive.
It is.
I will go back and see if it was actually her. Because
Okay.
if it is, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a slightly messy kip up, I thought, when I watched it. But you know,
Ooh.
yeah.
Gymnast critique.
Yeah,
Guy
yeah.
Picton.
From a man who cannot do them, I was like, oh, that looked a little sloppy.
If I could do them, I'd do them better.
Yeah. It's like, you know, like they barely made it because their hands were tied behind their back.
Yeah.
But that's still very impressive.
Yeah.
So there was a kip up in this film, so people be sure to keep an eye out for that.
And then my other favorite thing in movies, somebody gets bitten and then hides it from everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, LJ. Just going, that guy's a dick.
LJ, aka Mike Epps, aka the Martin Lawrence of a few years when you couldn't afford Martin Lawrence.
And you definitely can't afford Martin Lawrence now.
No.
Yeah, dude's done well for himself.
And so Mike Epps was in the last one, really only because at the time he was Mike Epps. In this one, I feel like there's absolutely no reason except that they wrote him in at the end.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he loses his girlfriend, Betty.
Played by Ashanti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then doesn't tell anyone that he's been bitten.
Yep. Just awful thing to do.
Dick move.
Yeah. Like he's kind of, I mean, I guess he hasn't really been heroic at this point, but just wander off, man.
Yeah.
Or just shoot yourself in the head.
Do
The character,
something.
not the person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, so he's out. He's out pretty early.
Yeah. But he's not out early in terms of the movie. He's out of the running of lasting to the end of the movie because he sticks around because he's inevitably got to just turn into a zombie and start attacking all the friends of this movie. That's what I like to call them, the friends.
The friends.
There's multiple good people.
Friends of Alice.
Yeah.
Friends of Alice.
Friends of the podcast.
Well, the other weird thing is, so Carlos is back. Mike Epps, what was his name? LJ?
LJ.
LJ
yes.
is back. But conspicuous by her absence. Jill Valentine.
Jill Valentine did not return.
Did not make it back. So they've subbed out Jill Valentine for
Character from the video game.
for Claire Redfield.
Different character from the video game.
Also a sexy woman in a tight outfit.
Yes. And also here for different reasons than in the games.
Yeah.
The brother's not in this.
No.
Who she's, I guess, eternally looking for
Yep.
in the games,
Yep.
as far as I've read.
They can never meet up.
Nah,
They can never get it on the same page.
So he's in a different movie
Ships
at the
in
moment.
the night.
Yeah.
Ships in the night.
I think there was a rumor. It was either him or Leon protagonist Kennedy.
Yep.
Was going to be
S.
played
His
by
His
Jensen.
middle name is S.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Does the S stand for S, like the J
Well,
stands for J?
they always just refer to him as Leon S. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Leon Kennedy was taken within the Actors Guild,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was supposed to be Jensen Ackles was rumored to be playing. I believe it was Leon S. Kennedy, but that just didn't go.
Didn't
for it.
happen?
No. And Jill Valentine didn't return because the actress it was just a clash in time.
Filming schedules. Yeah.
Yeah, schedule conflict because she was on filming for the movie Aragon.
Have you ever heard of that film?
I've heard of the film.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that was one of the first movie trailers I ever watched where I watched it and went, huh, movies can be bad.
Movies can actually be bad.
Yeah, that's weird. Just because they go to the movies doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah.
No, this is weird. Maybe I should critique movies later in my life.
Maybe I should spend many, many hours of my life doing that. But only exclusively for movies based on video games.
Yeah, and not for money. However, that scheduling conflict to me is a bit weird because one of the characters maybe he plays a smaller part, but the Australian in this movie, who, because I'm from New Zealand, if I hear an Australian accent in a movie, I have to Google quickly, are they Australian?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they from New Zealand?
Need to know.
Need to know if there's a connection, and then I have to bring it up.
Yeah.
Because it's all we have.
Yep.
He's Australian. He was in Aragon too. So I guess his schedule lined up.
Funny that.
Probably because he gets to die in this movie and she wouldn't have.
Well, I do feel like, obviously everyone's going to say scheduling conflicts when they actually mean don't want to be in this shitty Resident Evil movie.
Does she come back though?
Yeah, but this is the thing. Actors feel like they're on an upward trajectory.
Yes.
And when they feel here,
yes,
they're very picky.
So like when they've just started in Terminator 3,
yeah,
on the up.
Yeah.
Careful where you go with your arm there.
Yeah.
Don't go too high. That one's for the video viewers. If you've just been in Terminator 3, sure. Yep. Arnold's high on you saying, yeah, you're actually the main character in this movie.
Yep.
And then you take Blood Rain.
Yeah. And then suddenly your choices become a lot narrower, and suddenly a Resident Evil franchise, the most successful
zombie
video game franchise,
zombie video game franchise,
is much more appealing than it was when you said no to Resident Evil Extinction.
Yeah, exactly.
So she may be back later.
Yeah, a bit of a weird decision not to include her. However, there is the weirdest decision of this movie, and I'm not talking about plot.
Okay.
The weirdest decision of this movie was to airbrush Mila Jovovich's face on close-ups. Did you notice that? Well,
now that you mention it, yes, I did.
Yeah.
And this is actually a sort of a technique. Now, I don't know how they did it specifically in 2007, but nowadays there's basically when you take in fact, the software that we use to edit this podcast, and I say we, I mean Finn.
Yeah.
I definitely do not, nor will ever open this piece of software to edit.
Not for this.
but anyway, it's called DaVinci Resolve, and DaVinci Resolve is both an editing software, but it's also a color grading software. So normally what happens is when you finish a film, the whole film is color graded, and that's how you get the looks. Like part of that is done in the production design and the art direction and the costumes on set, but the other significant part of it is that look is created digitally in post-production.
Such as, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, if you're going to Mexico, make it yellow. If you're going to
sepia,
if you're going to nighttime, place, you make it bluish.
Yeah.
If you're going to Australia, reddish.
Yeah. There's rules. But anyway,
if you're going to anywhere in the Middle East, you make it kind of like wavy, like it's so hot. Everywhere is just so hot, and you're in a market. There's lots of colors.
So basically what happens is there's essentially a filter that you can apply to someone's face, which just softens it. It's like, which is the same type of thing we see on Instagram.
Yep.
The same thing your phone does algorithmically in its little computer. And you go, man, that was a great photo. It wasn't. You don't look like that. You look like shit.
Yeah.
You look fucking horrible. You look old. You look 40, bro.
So this is this guy talking to himself as he rewatches this.
but the point is that when you take the photo, you go, I'm looking pretty good. And that's, your phone essentially smoothing your wrinkles.
And now they can actually do it like a lot quicker, live almost. For like reality TV shows, it's been pointed out in like shows with the Kardashians, etc. They'll turn their face and suddenly it's not recognizing a face anymore. So then that kind of...
Oh, fascinating.
It's like essentially like... I imagine some people have used like Snapchat filters who are watching this. It's kind of like that. You turn your face, it's not doing it anymore. You turn back and, it's working.
So yeah, she has a Snapchat filter on her face for the whole of this film. Yep. I did notice it. It does continue in the next films as well.
Oh, does it? Yeah.
And I think that you can only assume this is a directive explicitly from her or P. Wes Anderson.
You tried.
Paul
W.S.
Anderson.
There we go. Now let's say it together.
Paul W.S. Anderson. So, yeah, PWS.
Yeah.
PWSA was a PSA to his colorist. You do this. You do this on every shot.
Make my wife hot.
Yeah, basically it's like, look, she looks a little bit older now. We don't want that here, so just smooth it. No one will notice.
Yeah.
Well, you thought wrong.
Sorry.
You fucked up.
Sorry, but I've watched this, so joke's on.
Sorry, but we know what's going on, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did notice that. And I actually, it's interesting you brought that up because I sort of blurred it out, much like her wrinkles. I blurred it out as I wasn't really thinking about it. But when I saw this in the cinema, which I did also do, as I am wont to do, to see terrible video game adaptations in the cinema when they first release.
Yeah.
Just like this. So that's why I was there and I was like...
Hey, I did it for Super Mario Bros.
I was like, something's going on here with her face. It's kind of weird. And then, this essentially a Gaussian filter, essentially, on the face.
It's really noticeable when she's done a close-up and then it cuts back and there's, she's further back in the frame and you go, oh yeah. Okay, now she looks her age.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with looking your age.
Also, it's not
or
even...
slightly older.
Well, that's the thing is, she's not old here.
No, she looks great.
She's in her early 30s in this film. If that. Yeah, she must be in her early 30s. So, yeah, it's just a bit weird that they employed that for the rest of time.
Paul W.S. Anderson is walking around with AR goggles that specifically put a filter on his wife's face.
Yeah.
She's still young to me.
She's still young to me, damn it.
I know. I think it's just like it speaks to a larger inherent problem that I think we can fix on this, which is our beauty standards for women. Let's discuss it.
Well, I guess the weird thing is like this to that degree is not happening. Now you can do this much more subtly than they did it, and you and I may not be able to tell at all.
No.
And I've actually been in situations where we've asked for that, like a light touch.
Yes.
And actually, that can be going on at all times, and you would never see it.
Yeah.
But this is way beyond that.
It's because it's not all the time. It's selective, like the specific shots, and they don't do it to other characters.
Yes, they don't do it to other characters, and not only that though, it's like faces aren't that smooth. Like because you remove the pores and all those sorts of things as well. So it's like that there's something incorrect.
Yeah.
About it because you just know what a face looks like, and even a young face will have more detail in it than this, like say around the eyes or whatever.
Yeah. Like I specifically noticed it when they were flashing between Alice and Claire. Like
they did Claire dirty.
Now she still looks great too. They both look great. I think it was just unnecessary. Like I'm not watching these movies because Mila Jovovich might look as young as she wants to be. I'm watching it because she's believable as this kick-ass protagonist who gets to be the only one who can go hand-to-hand with zombies. She gets to do some flippy kicks and stuff.
I thought you were watching it out of obligation to this podcast.
Yeah, that primarily, but that goes without saying.
So secondary.
Yeah.
Secondary
You're saying
reasoning.
the quiet part out loud, guy.
Yeah. Also, we sort of open the film with Alice waking up in the same fake room.
Yeah, she basically wakes up in the first movie.
She wakes up in the first movie and you're kind of like, oh, wait, what's going on here? And then you see like
genuinely, I had to go, am I watching the right one?
Well,
because I couldn't remember if that's where the first one started. And I went, oh, she looks exactly the same.
I was like, hey, wait a second. We ended this second film with some other stuff going on. What is this nonsense? Why are we back here? And then it turns out that Umbrella are running a test.
Yes.
On clone Alice's to see which Alice is the best Alice for their experiments. And the way that they do this is they just take them into this fake version, this fake set they've built out of the middle of nowhere in this post-apocalyptic wasteland in a actually very small contained area.
Well, the entrance to it is a small area. It's just an elevator down 1,800 feet or whatever, but yes.
And they've built this set down there with all these booby traps to kill clones. And if one of the clones makes it through, they're good.
She's the one.
but they never make it through.
No, can they run the gauntlet? Can they survive Resident Evil 1?
Yeah.
I know I couldn't if I had to rewatch it. Because I feel this one's better. I think they've improved both times.
Well, I don't know. I still don't think, I wouldn't say this one was better than the first one. I felt the most connection to the like, I thought the first one was the most compelling.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, went into insanity.
Yeah.
And the third one, to be honest, as insane as it might sound with someone with psychic powers using the Force throughout.
Yeah, she is very psychic now.
And them being in this post-apocalyptic wasteland after, they say 5 years, don't they?
I think so.
They say 5 years. And, lots of still silly things happening.
It's very silly.
It felt still more believable than the second one.
I feel like they're leaning into the silliness where they're still keeping it serious. Like, silly things are happening, but they're taking it seriously. And if they keep that tone up, then I'll keep up as well. Like, that's a bit of fun.
Well, I think that, like, to me, Paul W.S. Anderson, PWSA.
Mm-hmm. Pee-wee's Anderson.
Yep. He'd sat down one day and he's like, what am I going to do for the next Resident Evil? Because I feel like I've done, like,
They keep asking me to write them.
And I keep not having very good ideas.
Okay.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then he kind of looks to the side and he goes, what's that? And out the corner of his eye, he spots the Mad Max DVD. And he puts it in and he starts watching Mad Max and he goes, And then he puts in Mad Max 2 and he goes, And even Mad Max 3, he chucks that in there too. And he goes, what if I did all this stuff, chucked in some psychic powers and zombies? I think I've got myself Resident Evil 3 right here.
Yep, Mad Max 2, but Resident Evil 3. Yeah, it was heavily based on Road Warrior.
Right.
The second Mad Max movie. And it shows, as that meme goes. But there was actually a directive point from Russell Mulcahy.
Yeah.
I believe I've got that wrong.
Is this the director?
This is the director, yes. His chief insistence with this film, and its big point of difference over its predecessors, was that it be shot in sun, daytime, not just dark, dingy corridors and dark, dirty streets. It's almost exclusively just blazing sunshine the whole time.
Yeah.
I thought, that's pretty good. So they can't really hide the CGI like they did in other ones, even though the worst CGI takes place in a dark room in this movie.
Do you think so?
Yes. I think that's, no, we can talk about that now. So I wrote down initially, CGI's pretty good in this.
Yeah.
And I went back to my notes and I wrote, until about an hour in. Because Dr. Chris Isaacs, played by the actor that played Jorah Mormont in Game of Thrones, he has returned as the bad evil scientist for Umbrella Corporation. And he turns into, it's not named in the movie, but he's got a mutation of the T virus as he gets bitten and he wants to cure himself. And he becomes Tyrant, who was this movie's big bad that Alice has to try and kick in the head to death.
Which, for video game nerds, is actually from the first Resident Evil.
There you go, nerds. You happy now? And he has this giant tentacle arm. And one of his boss, who's mean to him, or one of the lackeys of the big boss. It's weird. They try to get us to garner sympathy for this guy, being like, "Wow, he's bullied by his bosses."
Yeah.
But so is the enemy of my enemy my friend? Or
is
he just a bigger enemy that's...
Is the enemy who's conducting experiments and killing hundreds of clones mercilessly and then shutting his assistants in with zombies when his experiment fails and lets them get eaten, my friend?
He makes them get eaten. He could have saved them.
Totally.
Absolutely. And he chooses not to and then thinks nothing of it.
Yeah.
He's the big evil guy. And then they go, he's being bullied a bit, isn't he? Oh, he can't get the funding for his project or whatever. Oh, they're using corporate language on him to talk down to him. Oh, I really feel for this guy. Oh, no, wait. No, big piece of shit.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that, as they say in Star Wars Episode 1, there's always a bigger piece of shit. I think that's...
There's always a bigger fish.
Thank you, Qui-Gon. So yeah, when he sends the tentacles into this corporate stooge, that's, to me, I went, oh.
That wasn't good?
Oh, that's a bit rough. Yeah.
I was like, that's on par with the other Resident Evils.
Yeah, but this is the most recent one that we've watched.
Yeah.
So I thought, it would...
But they have the same VFX budget for each one, so they can never go higher.
Well, don't show it. If you can't show a guy who's just had his eyes sucked out by tentacles, show the back of his head. Show the eyeballs on the tentacles or something, or just show blood coming out. But I think it's like the blackness of the eyes. I'm like, oh, it's just a void.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, yeah, this looks like a black mat.
Yeah.
But just
it's weird because, this, if you want to talk about people like ripping off other people, a young Duffer Brothers was watching Resident Evil Extinction. It's 2007.
Okay.
The young Duffer Brothers.
They are absolutely ripping things off, but it's not stuff like this. They're ripping off established monsters who have a lot of art and whatever from Dungeons and Dragons and existing lore from a while ago. It's not this. Or these people are ripping from the same source material.
So you don't think the Duffer Brothers got inspired because we've got person with psychic abilities.
Yep.
We've got the person that looks like the tyrant looks very much like Vecna in the new Stranger Things.
He has tentacles and an ugly face.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the... What more can you do?
Experiments, evil experiments by the evil corporation.
Like Demigorgons is something that people are like, oh, that's a Stranger Things thing. No, that's a nerdy Dungeons and Dragons thing. It's probably in the new Dungeons and Dragons movie or something. Vecna, I believe, is an established thing. If not, I might cut me saying that. Or for ease of editing, I might not. But like they're using established things from that.
Well, look,
almost all the time.
Look, if you watch the first series of Stranger Things, all I could think of is like, there is not one single original thought within this. This is simply a pastiche of every other thing there could be, all put into a nice little package that we can all enjoy as fans of those things.
It's just fan service, the Netflix series.
It's the ultimate, sort of thing we love talking about here on the podcast, the sort of the nostalgia effect.
Yeah. To me, that's what Super Mario Brothers was, all from one franchise. Like, take all these bits that we like, smush it into a ball and present it to someone.
Well, that's Stranger Things. So I still maintain the Duffer Brothers watched this and they pulled up some scraps of this and they're like, look, guys, I know that we've been taking a lot from Stephen King and Steven Spielberg and sort of every 80s film, but...
What about Paul W. Steven Anderson?
But have we really tapped into the Resident Evil franchise?
And one of them said, no. And then another one said, good. And then they didn't.
But yeah, so this is a precursor to that. That's all I'm saying is like, I
mean, even the intro of Stranger Things has been stolen from something else, like that whole style.
Yeah,
that's been stolen by things since as well.
Yeah.
Even like unrelated. You'll see it over and over again. This stole from The Matrix because a woman's doing
kicks.
Anti-gravity
kicks.
I mean, I love a woman doing some kicks. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, I think, we've also talked about like her psychic powers, which is just like 11 psychic powers.
Yes. So she, at one point, like, I thought this movie actually, like, it looks so much better than the other two.
Yeah.
And I think the daytime really helps. They can get a lot more creative and not everything's just so dingy. There's like some bits where she's walking through the desert that I thought,
those are such beautiful desert shots.
Yeah.
Some real Lawrence of Arabia vibes off this Resident Evil film.
It was incredible. And then even though you could see the cameraman in her goggles. but then there was things like, the whole sky was like a big hellfire because she'd stop the flamethrower from, burning Carlos.
Yeah.
And the whole sky filled with, and I was like, the CGI's not great, but fuck, they're being ambitious here.
Sure.
They're going for something.
Yeah.
The other movies, I feel they weren't. They went, let's dress a guy up as a giant deformed penis, as we discussed.
Yep. And
it looked great, as we both agreed. But this, they're going above and beyond to really just like try, and I can appreciate that. I'm bored of movies where they don't try and it sucks.
Yeah.
See our last episode did trigger.
Well, look, I want to go quite kind of deep on this psychic powers thing for a little second here.
The inconsistency of it?
Yes. Okay. So this is the problem with every like superhero franchise, everything from, like X-Men to whatever is essentially
like
even
Grey.
Superman, Jean Grey, Professor X, Magneto, all of them with these kind of ability to sort of to some degree, obviously not Magneto specifically, but ability to kind of do things with their mind that kind of crushes people and throws people and lifts things and all that sort of thing is like you introduce some serious problems to how a movie can exist.
Yeah.
Like how characters can have problems in the movie where it's like, well, why doesn't like the question to pose to every single scene is, why don't they just use their telekinesis?
Yes.
And what we see, and we've seen it in Stranger Things, like Eleven goes on an adventure to New York City or some fucking nonsense because they can't have her around to just beat everything with her psychic powers. And this is happening here with Alice, is that it's like, okay, cool, she's got psychic powers. So rather than do cool kicks and rather than use a machete on a bunch of zombies, why don't you just push them down the road?
Hey.
You know? Gone. Done. Done. Force explode all their heads at once.
Yeah.
Pop.
And then their nose bleeds.
You know?
What an original thought.
and so, but what I think is kind of crazy about this is like, so now this Resident Evil is having this problem in terms of kind of the consistency of her thing. But
in the third movie of a heptalogy.
Yeah.
That's 7.
But the most famous or glaringly obvious issue where this happened and completely ruined an entire TV series was another TV series that Ali Larter, aka Claire Redfield, was a star of. Heroes.
Right.
And so Heroes, the first season was kind of building up and introducing all these disparate heroes coming together to save the cheerleader, save the world. And
there was so much hype around that. I remember that.
Yeah.
So much hype. Like, oh, who's this new girl that's come along? Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah, Panettiere Church or something.
Yeah, that's the one. Nailed
it. Yeah, and anyway, so the first season was really cool. But then they had to do a second season. And instantly they were like, holy shit, we're fucked. Because all of these people, especially who have discovered their powers in the first one, now can't use them in the second one for the story to exist.
You know what's actually more depressing about that particular example? There was so much hype for Heroes. And then those dastardly, greedy writers decided to go on strike. They're asking, pay us fairly.
We expect residuals.
Why? Why do you want to be compensated for your hard work, for your expertise?
Why do you want to live a normal life when you're old?
Livable wage isn't meant for everyone to live. Come on.
So, yeah. So
also the worst case scenario for these writers, if they get the absolute minimum they're asking for, then they will be on par with what Australian writers get.
Well,
it's even worse.
And then, if they get the least they've asked for, they will be on the New Zealand writers' wage.
Yeah. But also, they are absolutely justified to be what they do.
Yeah, no,
all
totally.
jokes aside, pay
obviously, and also this is the thing is like the world has changed. The sort of the way that movies are made have changed. The way that streaming and revenue is made by films now is completely different to 5 years ago, but certainly 10 years ago, certainly the last time all these negotiations took place. And it's like, okay, you can't expect to, like, once upon a time you did a job, you got paid a certain amount to write that job, but then you would receive royalties. And that no longer exists, but nothing has really replaced it. And so in doing so, you need these royalties to keep you going between jobs. You need these royalties to keep going when you're no longer writing. But
people are still making money off of your work.
Yeah, and
that's what it is. It's like, well, this person gets residuals. This person gets residuals. I wrote that line for that actor.
Yeah,
I made them that big. Sure, they delivered it, but I also took part in it. Why don't I get it? So
they need to reorientate everything to accommodate for the way that streaming income is generated.
So we're fixing everything on this podcast. So we've tackled feminism. Now we're doing economics.
Done.
There we go.
So anyway, Alice has got these psychic powers.
Yes. Or psionic, as they call them in this.
And she's only using them very sporadically.
I feel like it's one of those ones where, they can only use it when they're under immense stress or pressure.
Okay. I'm glad you've made that excuse for her.
Oh, yeah, not just her, just every movie that's like this.
Yeah.
Or just any character that's like this. It's like, Hey, why don't you try doing it now for fun? Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
What if I kill your dad? Hey, well, big psychic. You know?
Yeah.
And nosebleed. And, I fainted.
But yeah, and and we will see in later things that these powers get taken away because these films cannot exist while these powers really exist.
No, you can't have, because then you're basically the villain. If you're that powerful, it's inevitable,
Yep.
There's some sayings from some superhero movie that could sum up the point I'm trying to make. Fill in the blanks.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely. That's just me agreeing. I don't know what you said.
So anyway, she then, I guess, we'll just skip to the end, right?
Oh yeah, let's do what they do.
We're at the end. We're basically at the end.
Pretty much.
Well, they say they're going to go to Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Vegas?
So, no, they're going to Vegas to get enough petrol to go to
Alaska, where they believe that there may be an area where there's no zombies.
Yes. So Alice has found a journal,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got unrealistic journal entries where some guy has written his thoughts, and then he's gone over it again in a red pen, so then it looks scary.
Yeah.
I always find those things really funny.
Who's got time for that in a post-apocalypse?
Who's got time in an apocalypse to write graffiti on the wall being like, "We're all gonna die"? All right. Well, did you stop running from zombies to write that because it'll look cool for the set dressing? Appreciate it. And so she's looking at this, and it says "Go to Alaska. There's nobody here. There's only people. There's no zombies. Like people live here and people love here." I think is something.
Okay.
But what she didn't realize, what I realized, one of the journal entries, it's on April 1st. It's a long con from some jokester. He's luring her up to Alaska. You go, April Fool's, idiot. You're dead.
Well, also, Alice should know better because she's just almost got sexually assaulted in someone saying, "Hey,
come help."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's what they plan to do.
So where was Alice going? I don't know. Alaska.
Good work.
Thanks, miss. Alice infiltrates the big underground everything, trying to get to Dr. Chris Isaacs.
Yep. Also, Carlos blows himself up before that.
Yeah, he does. He takes a long drag of a cigarette and then does a big explode.
And
cathartic, I guess.
Well, it's weird because
he has been bitten by LJ.
So he's been bitten, but he's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
So he's not gonna pretend he's not bitten.
Yeah.
And he's gonna die heroically for the cause by blowing up a bunch of zombies in a truck.
Yep.
But Alice is really gutted about it. She's really upset that this guy that she hasn't seen in 5 years, that she then spent approximately a night or two with, in Resident Evil 2.
Maybe, yeah.
Less than a night? Less than 24 hours?
Not romantically.
No, just literally, as in...
going around kicking zombies with them.
They're two total strangers.
Yeah.
They come together for 24 hours. Then somewhere along the line...
Sorry, he did save her from a lab with LJ.
He saved her from a lab with
level
LJ.
Level 6 clearance.
With level 6 clearance. Then she had to take off for 5 years.
Yeah.
And now he's bitten. And she's really upset. So much so that she gives him a kiss, full-blown kiss on the lips.
Yep.
As if there's a romantic thing going on there, which there never was, never had been established.
Wait, he's a zombie at that point, right?
And he is, like, again...
I guess she's immune, yeah.
I guess she's immune, but again, gross, zombie germs.
Yeah.
And it's always just like, hang about, you didn't fucking know him from Adam.
Yeah.
So why?
I mean, yeah, she also fell for the Nemesis guy, but I think that was platonic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you gotta add a romantic interest.
Well, if I was Carlos, I'd be like, whoa. Weren't you into the Nemesis a little bit earlier?
Whoa.
I don't like fast women, okay?
Jesus. Whoa.
So anyway, he blows himself up.
Yeah.
And
to allow them to enter the
compound.
I
also want to make a note of, I feel like his arms have got skinnier in this. Can we talk about his arms?
His buggy whip arms?
Yeah, his buggy whip arms are definitely skinnier than they were in the other one. He really bulked up for that, and then he just stopped caring.
He's been living off refried beans out of a can. It's realistic.
Hey, that's a good point.
Thank you.
He couldn't go to the gym anymore.
Oh, I mean, he could have been lifting those cans.
Yeah,
but he's got to save resources.
Yeah.
Save his energy.
Yeah.
And save the world.
So it makes sense that he would have skinny, emaciated arms.
Yeah, that's why I do it. I'm here to save the world. So she infiltrates the giant corporate underground schematic, basically, and she finds Tyrant, who was formerly Dr. Chris Isaacs.
Yep.
And they have a big fight,
Yep.
And he kind of has psychic powers too. He does a big yell.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, he does a big yell, and then the floorboards even like shatter, and it sends her through a wall.
Yeah.
And then he yells at her later on, and nothing happens. But that's by the by. So she, I guess, kicks him in the head to death or something. I can't remember exactly.
No. So what actually happens is she bumps into one of her clones.
She accidentally, I guess, hatches them from their water.
She
egg.
accidentally hatches a nude clone.
Yeah. She
hatches a nude clone from its bubble.
Yeah. And she quoted her favorite franchise, Super Mario Brothers. She went, "Oh, it's a me."
She fights him, but the way that he dies is that clone turns on the lasers.
That's right.
And but it's weird because he's like, "You can't kill me, Alice. I told you can't kill me." And It's like, okay, well, why can't? Why not?
Well, he said it twice. So.
If it only said it once, she wouldn't have believed. She would have kept trying. But anyway, so he's chopped up. So they can kill him.
Yeah.
Real easy.
It's an homage to the classic film Resident Evil, the first one.
Yeah. Where a innocent person is zapped. This time it's the tyrant.
Yes. And he gets crisscrossed, turned into little little hot chips.
Kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, to see it again and to expect it. The first time it was like, oh shit, and now it's just like, hey, we did it again, and you're like, yeah, you did.
Well,
That's
I was like, okay, cool. Now he's going to rebuild himself because he can't be killed like that, and they're going to have to find a good creative way to actually kill him.
No. What we need to do now...
not to go for that.
No, we've done it. We've done the thing, we've combined the two things from the last movie, crisscross lasers and big bad zombie.
And he's getting his comeuppance because he'd been crisscrossing clones for the entirety of this film.
And Dr. Chris Isaacs had been doctoring voice messages.
Had he?
Yeah, he takes the recording of his boss to give himself clearance.
Oh, I missed that bit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I don't even think it was that important. He does what he wants anyway, so yeah.
So, that's the end. Well, it's not the end of the film because...
No.
Of course, we've got to set... We can't ever end any of these with any sense of finality.
No.
So this time round, it's like, cool. The Umbrella Corporation are having a meeting. Board meeting, as you do.
They're all working from home.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to work anymore.
Because they're all holograms.
Yeah.
But then she appears, Alice in hologram, and she's like, oh, hey... By the way, I'm coming to get you all. I'm going to kill you all. And then she checks out of her hologram.
She presses page down.
Really?
That's the button she puts. I went back and checked. She just goes, boom, boom. Page down, page down.
Page down, page down. Out of the hologram. And
so it's such a stupid detail for me to not only notice, but then go back and check. But then also weird for them to do a close-up on her doing that specifically. So who's weirder?
Well, so is that a remote? As in a TV remote or something that she's pressing?
No, it's just on a laptop.
Oh, it's on a laptop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's the button that's there.
Yeah, okay.
Weird.
Yeah. So page down, she's out, and then we kind of pull back to reveal not just Alice 1, Alice original, but a clone army of Alices.
What?
Yeah, a clone army.
She's going to get so many paychecks. She's going to have so many credits.
So her and a clone army are going to take on and kill Umbrella.
Yep.
Now, I'd love for our viewers or listeners to take a bet on how far that storyline progresses in the next one.
Well, if Resident Evil 2 ended with her escaping a lab with her military-clad friends just after a city got nuked, but the rest of the world seems pretty fine because it was contained, and then this one started out with her alone in a desert, I'd say, yeah, we're in for some consistency and follow through. And that's how this movie ends, setting up the next one, which goes to set up our next segment, Don't You Know? So, Milla Jovovich wasn't interested in doing a third Resident Evil film due to her disappointment with Resident Evil Apocalypse. The financials would, I guess, dictate otherwise in terms of it being successful.
Yep.
However, she changed her mind after reading the script. That's weird. Her husband wrote it. And he just he pushes the script over and he's just got $ written on it. And she goes, I like that script.
I like the look of that first page.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, it is strange because obviously it's like, okay, you had no intention of being in the franchise series of films that you're now most known for, only successful in, and is established with your partner who will produce and write this. Really, you're not interested in that?
Yeah, he will write this, and then for the next one, he's going to direct it.
So you have no interest in that.
You can see
he's doing all the stuff on the side, like he's
in bed next to her on his laptop.
And she's like, what are you working on? Oh, the next Resident Evil 3. Well, I'm not going to be in that.
Yeah, well, no,
I know you're not going to be in it, honey, but I just thought, look, I'm just going to keep on working on it, all right? Yeah. And if you change your mind, I'm right here.
Do you want to hear some of it? Please. So a Mila Jovovich type is kicking ass and being real hot. And and she's so young and sexy.
So Alice does this. Oh, who's going to be Alice? I don't know.
Could you help me, darling? I've just got to figure out this casting choice.
Who could it be?
Oh, you're so smart. Can you help me?
That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous fact. But anyway, yeah.
And that's all I've got.
Good trivia.
Thank you.
Well, how much did this make?
I don't have numbers exactly, but enough to make a fourth one.
Well, what I want to know is, did it make more money than 2?
Yes, this was at one point the 4th most successful Badaptation. Now there's been so many releases, it's now sitting at 19th, but still above Resident Evil Apocalypse.
So this is a really weird thing that's going on with this franchise, where
it's making more and more money.
Yeah, like this
this
is literally the opposite of what happens with, like, literally the law of diminishing returns for a sequel is, if you make a sequel, you expect it to gross approximately, or this used to be the kind of rule, you expect it to gross about half as much as the previous film. So Back to the Future 2, about half as much. Yeah. And so on. And it's very rare, like a success is when it maybe gross 2/3 as much as the original. And obviously there are a few instances, Aliens, Terminator 2, where they, completely outgross
the only two that ever get used as examples.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, the sequel's not always worse. What about Terminator 2?
Yeah.
Okay, name some more.
Aliens?
Sure.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
So
Godfather. So all these,
but Godfather 2 did gross much less than Godfather 1.
Oh, well, there you go.
But is
and if it
considered
didn't make as much money, it's clearly not as good. That's how art works.
Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah. That's why this is the worst art.
So it's strange that it must have even surprised them. Like, when they're making these Resident Evils, they're like, well, this one did well. Let's hope the next one does half as well. And then it does better, and they're like, oh, well, I guess we'll just keep making these then.
We'll end this one in a way where the audience can be like, whoa, I can only imagine what happens next. 1,000 Alices? And then it actually makes a substantial amount of money, and they go, oh, now we have to make something. Yeah, our imagination's way better.
Yeah, now we've got to explain that.
Now we've got to record it with video equipment. We have to tell a story. Oh.
So yeah, this is a really bizarre, because it's also like, this film wasn't bad, but, well, actually, I'm not even going to say this film wasn't bad. I'm just going to say we've seen worse films.
Yeah, our standards are really
We've seen worse films, but this franchise is not like, which I've just watched recently, but it's not like the Indiana Jones trilogy /5 films or whatever. It's not like a series of real high watermark films here.
No one's ever going. No one's ever.
This isn't The Godfather 1 and 2.
Yeah, no one's like trying to obtain the heights of the Resident Evil franchise.
Exactly.
Only Paul W.S. Anderson is with the Monster Hunter franchise. I wonder how we talked her into that.
So yeah. So anyway, that's shocking to me, but all right.
Yeah, good on them. We have given this the same score as Resident Evil 1 and 2, which is 10. However, out of what? Guy, I'll let you start the bidding.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one, I think this is a A 10 out of 30 for me.
10 out of 30. That's pretty good on your scale of things.
Yeah.
I did enjoy this more than Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
I really thought I wouldn't. And so I'm giving this one 10 out of 13.
Wow. Whoa. That's a really good film.
Or so you thought. But remember, this is what's called a callback. She did a kip up, so it's 10 out of 12.
Ooh. Isn't that like the highest rating you've given one of these?
Equal to Street Fighter.
It's equal to Street Fighter. All right. So we're really high bar for Resident Evil 3.
It seems I don't have a lot of room for movement. I really kind of painted myself into a corner.
You're going to have to start giving decimal points soon.
How fucking dare you? There are no decimal points in a rating system. There are no fractions. That's how this came about. None.
Okay.
I mean, even though the system itself is...
I guess you're locked into that.
Is itself a fraction.
10 out of 12.
Yep. 10 out of 12. I'll stand by that. Sorry, just checking the time. And I've noticed it's time for your favorite segment. It's worst hair. And I believe it goes to the random guy with the mohawk. I don't know. The hair seemed fine in this movie. There was no one with a ridiculous, crazy hairstyle. I was even thinking, oh, should we go with clone Alice or regular Alice? No, they've both got normal hair.
Yeah.
It's that random guy with a mohawk.
Worst hair goes to her husband from the original one, who we see in a photograph one time for like 1 second.
Yeah. Fuck that guy in particular. You and your shit hair.
Old charisma vacuum, that guy.
Yeah, he's kind of he was a slimy kind of dude, eh? Just the way
there was just something about him that made it like he shouldn't appear in films.
Jesus.
You know, he shouldn't be acting in films. He's not cut out to do that.
Stop it. Stop it. I don't like it. Here's something you might like. My recommendation this week.
Okay.
Just got the one. It's really hard to keep finding Resident Evil things that are worth watching. And I'm not just talking about the movies. I'm talking about a video by the gaming channel Outside Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
They have a video called 7 Rip-Off Games You Thought Were Original. And they go into detail about which game that the Resident Evil franchise is based off. It's a complete game I've never heard of. They just went, yeah, we're taking that and we're westernizing it. And you can watch that video and find out for yourself which one I mean. There was actually some surprising entrants in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my recommendation is to watch what this film is based on. The Mad Max, there's 4 now. The Mad Max films.
Just watch the Fury Road.
Either Fury Road or Mad Max 2. They're the 2 high watermarks.
There we go.
So I would recommend that if you actually want to watch a sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland style made by a good director.
Yeah, based in Australia instead of Mexico. They were going to do this in Australia.
Right.
And then they changed. Maybe cheaper.
Maybe
they wanted yellow instead of red, I guess, as we established. It's time to spin the wheel and see what the next thing we have to cover is. Guy, if you would do us the pleasures of making this land probably on another Resident Evil movie.
Okay, so we're away and praying for not another Resident Evil.
Oh, fuck, that was close.
Oh!
Right. It is sitting right in between 2 Resident Evil
We landed
movies.
in between 2 Resident Evils.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill.
Another gaming franchise I am loosely familiar with, but have never delved into.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to have to do some research into this one.
Yep. Well, at least this is a popular video game. Well, I guess so is Resident Evil, but...
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so we'll be covering Silent Hill. The first one. Because I believe there's more than one. And just a little request from us. If you like what we do, please consider following us using the links in the show notes or the description and leave some good reviews if you like it. It means a lot and means our little project can grow.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for your continued support, and we look forward to bringing you Silent Hill in 2 weeks.
Or do we? All right, thank you, and we'll see you when we release that episode. All right, catch ya.
See you later.